Hola,
Oh, Harold, how are you?
I'm good. Just got back from New Jersey.
You did?
Yep.
Or in Teaneck? Where were you?
Passaic, Clifton,
Passaic.
all the same.
Who's there? Your daughter?
I have two daughters there, so
Who's that?
grandchildren's graduations.
Very nice.
It was very nice. Yeah, it was good.
It was
Uh,
raining there, no?
what's
Was it rain
that?
there?
It
Was it
rained
raining?
yesterday. Yeah, it rained yesterday. Yeah, not
Hello.
not bad, but enough to be annoying.
Hi, Harold.
Um, that's wow. Did he have a cane or anything? Was no
No,
nothing.
he had the glasses hanging here,
The
and he was
glasses.
going like this.
Yeah. He's basically blind. One eye totally blind, the other one almost total.
Wow.
Wow. Well, I'm going to call Ellen when I'm done here.
I was scared to death, seeing,
Yeah,
and he came walking from, I
Here's
think,
Johnny. Here's
from
Johnny.
Rabbi Rubin's shul. I hope he didn't walk on the middle of the street in Third Street.
Hi,
He,
Johnny.
nuts.
hey,
Nuts.
Johnny, you back?
I'm back.
Johnny.
Oh, hey,
Johnny,
hi.
oh,
Just fresh out of the plane.
Okay.
Oh, isn't
Welcome
that
back.
great?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
good
Thank
to
you.
see
Okay.
you.
I have
Wow.
a, I have Abe Kaplan brought us all these things for Elu Traphus for it's like a picture book. Yeah, so I have a copy for you, Johnny.
Okay.
I'll give it to you maybe Shabbos when we learn.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, we are on 53b on the bottom. We're going to do 54 today. Amr of Papi, for Bibi Barabaya, Veshet Nukuvosu B'mashu. We've already learned that one of the Simonim Treifa is a hole in the esophagus. And it doesn't make a difference how big the hole is, and even a mashu. Therefore, Drusasu B'mashu. Therefore, if an animal was clawed, and then we inspect the organs after shechita, and you see a little red area on the esophagus, even b'mashu, we know that that's going to end up being deteriorated. So it's going to have a hole, and therefore it's also b'mashu. Kana nikuvasu be'iser, drusasu b'kama. The shaila is the trachea, a hole of the size of an Italian iser, a coin, that you need to have that hole for the trachea to be trafe. So the question is, drusasu b'kama. If an animal clawed the animal, if a predator clawed the animal, and you inspect the trachea and you see a reddened area on the trachea, what is that shear to render the animal trafe? Basar Debaya, after he himself asked the question, Hadar Pashta, he answered it. Both the kana and the veshet, the shear is b'mashu. My timer, zir mikla koliv also, because the red area is going to enlarge and eventually will make a hole the size of an isser, and therefore the trachea of any size redness will be trafe after Klein. Yosef Rav Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marta Kamed Rav Nachman. Rav Yitzchak was sitting in front of Rav Nachman, and he was teaching Drusa Sha'amru Tzricha Badika Keneged Bnei that which we said that an animal that was clawed, it has to be inspected near the intestines. Amr le Rav Nachman Alui Moiri Be Rav Mi Kappa Vadatmo. The kappa is the spoon and the atma is the thigh. My kappa, ilema kappa dida, the shoulder blade, hainu keneged me'ayim. Ela mi kappa demoicha. It's from the skull all the way to the thigh. Basically, it's the whole animal, including the trachea and the esophagus and the lungs and all the intestinal material. All that has to be checked if an animal was clawed. Kisalik Rav Chia Bar Yosef. Rav Chia made Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. Ashkin Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish di Yosri v'Kamri. He found Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish learning. Drusa sa'amru tzricha b'dika keneged nemei. And that when we have an animal that was clawed, You have to check near the intestines. Amr Lahu, Rav Chia, Haluhi Mori Bei Rav Mikafa Varatma. Rav said that it's from the kappa, which we said is the skull, to the thigh. Amr Le Rish Lakish, Manu Rav V'lo Yadal, Manu Rav, Umanu Rav V'lo Yadal. Who's this Rav? That we're always be told somebody in the name of Rav. Rish Lakish didn't know who Rav was. Rav, remember, Rav was a Talmid of Rebbe in Tveria. Rav is much older than Rish Lakish. Rav at one point made Yeridat to Bavel and became the Gadol Ador in Bavel. Rav Yochanan Rish Lakish were in Israel. The main Amoira that established Talmud Yerushalmi is Rav Yochanan, because it was established in Eretz Yisrael. So Rav Yochanan had to explain to Rish Lakish who Rav was. Loni here the Los Talmud Shishimish Rebbe Rab of Rab Chia. Don't you remember the great student who served both Rebbe and Rav Chia? The greater students would sit in front of the Rebbeim sitting, and the lesser students would stand. So Rav Yochanan gives testimony that all the years that he was in yeshiva, Rav was sitting and Rav Yochanan was standing. Uman gavar hu de gavar bekula. And what is he great? He's great in everything. He's a gadol in everything. He's a Torah giant. He's a chassid. Miyad pasach Rish Lakish v'amar beram zocher also ish l'tov. I remember him favorably. Sha'amru shmua mipiv. The following halacha was said in his name: Shmuta u'shchuta kshera. If after shchita you check, and the trachea is dislodged, but it was cut by shchita, it's clear that the trachea had got dislodged after shchita. If the trachea dislocated when the shochet went to cut it, it wouldn't be there to cut it. However, Rav Yochanan didn't agree. Rav Yochanan, Yavi v'Yakiv, you know what? Bring it over here and let's cut it with a knife. And if it looks the same as this current cut that we're going to do, then obviously it was cut after shchita. If it looks different, then it was shechted. It was cut before shchita. That means it was dislodged. It was not dislodged when they did the shchita, and therefore it was not treif. And the heter, where if it's cut through the trachea, we say it's not dislodged at the time of shchita. That's only if the shochet didn't sort of hold the simonim in his hand when he cut it. If the shochet grabs the esophagus and the trachea, even if the trachea dislocated, he could have cut it with the knife. So there's no raya based on it. Ze'aklal. The Mishnah, after listing all the treifas, it gave a principle. If it couldn't live. Now, lasui mai, what does it include? Lasui shev shmaitza. We had, the Amoraim gave us a list on Daf Membeis of 7 other treifas. Now, the Bei Yosef Rishba, Yosef the hunter, Machu begida nasiv akatle. He would hit an animal with a stick on the sciatic nerve, and the animal would die. So Osla Kamei de Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira to say, if you hit an animal with the stick on the sciatic nerve, does it make it a treif? Amar lahu, v'chila hoisif ala treifis yesh. Are we allowed to add to the Yudchas treifis? We have a tradition. Only those that were mentioned in the Mishnah of Elu treifis will cause the animal to die within 12 months. injury in the sciatic nerve does not cause the animal to die. Rav Papi Baraba Rishba, Rav Papa the hunter, Machul Bekuyi V'Katli. They would shoot an arrow at the kidney. It did not go into the abdominal cavity and would kill them that fashion. Also come in Rav Abba. They asked, well, if there's an injury like that to the kidney, does it make the animal treif? Can we add to the Masorah of treifus? But an animal shot with an arrow in the kidney dies. So why isn't it a treifa? Because if it was treated with medicines, it would heal. The others cannot be healed, no matter what. Now, of course, we've talked about, today we see a lot of these things are healed. So the Chazon Ish as a major chidush, that it has to do with what the status was at the time of Matan Torah. So at Matan Torah, we didn't have the medicines we have. We didn't have antibiotics. If at the time of Matan Torah these animals would die, then that's halal. Even though now they survive, we follow what existed at the time of the Torah. Mishnah. Ve'elu ksherus b'beheimah. The following defects does not make the animal treif. Nikva gargeres or shenizdika. As long as the hole is less than an isser, if there's a hole in the trachea less than an isser, it's kosher. Or shenizdika, or if it's split. Kama techsar, how much can there be a defect in the trachea? Up into an Italian isser. Nivchas al gugoles, you have a skull fracture or even missing skull, but velonikiv krum shel moach, but the meninges, the dura, the protection of the brain, there's no hole in that. That's kosher. Nikiv alev v'lo lebes chalolon. There's a hole in the heart, but not through and through to the cavity. Nishbra shidra v'lo nifsaka chutshela. There's a fractured vertebra, but it hasn't damaged the spinal cord. Kosher. Nitla kaviv nishtermin kazayis. The liver was removed, but there's a kazayis that remains. Kosher. These two stomachs, the second and third stomach, that have all, there's like a fistula between them. There's a hole, not to the outside, but one to each other. Well, the food has to travel anyways through the lumen from one to the other. So even if it travels through this hole, it doesn't make it treif. Nitalat chol, the spleen was removed, it's kosher. Now here comes a very controversial statement of the Mishnah. Nitlu akloyos, both kidneys removed. This Mishnah holds the animal is not treif. Now, it is very hard to say, like I said before, that at the time of Matan Torah would be different. That an animal could, there's no animal that can survive without the kidneys. And I saw I showed you the picture book that I have, the Chullin Illuminated. He brings a whole paper that in Switzerland they found that if you remove the kidneys, for the first week, the animal does its excretory things using the digestive system. And it didn't, but they shechted it after a week. Well, a treifa can't live for 12 months. There's no way that an animal can live for 12 months. So there are those that learn here a girsa change, nitlu hakloya, one kidney. That we know, of course, a human being can live. Certainly an animal can live. Okay. Nitlu lechi atachton, the lower jaw has been removed. It's kosher. Nitla ha'em shala, the uterus was removed. Charusa b'dei shamayim, it has a shrunken lung, but not, it was like through a disease. B'dei shamayim. Became frightened, thunder, lightning. We don't know exactly how that works, but Hagluda, if this animal was skinned. So that's already a machlokas. Rav Meir Mashra v'chachamim pois. Itma. Rav Yochanan el Elu Treifas Dafka. In the first mission, when it says Elu Treifas, that has to be learned strictly. But Reish Lakish Amar Elu Ksheris Dafka. No, our mission has to be learned strictly. What's the machlokas b'may kamifni? B'd Rav Masna. Dam Rav Masna. Hai bukadab medeshap miduchte treifa. A dislocated thigh, that the thigh bone popped out of the socket. He held its treif. Now this actually is going to be a machlokes Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish. Rav Yochanan will say it's kosher. Rav Yochanan Meilu treifas dafka. Only these 18 are treif, and not this tanu treifas. The tanu ze'aklau, right? And then it mentioned this is the principle. Rav Masa the asib ze'aklau. You might think that this dislocated thigh bone might be included in the ze'aklau. My time of the damil in the tuli, because it's similar to something being removed. Tanailu treifas hanu de treifad Rav Mastak shemer. So Rav Yochanan says no, only dafka these are treifas, but the dislocated thigh is kosher. Reish Lakish says no, elu ksheris dafka. It's this Mishnah which is strict, and therefore Tana treifos, the first Mishnah that listed the 18 treifas for Tana ze'klal, and then had a general principle that Chazar of Masad Lasi b'ze'klal. But maybe you can't learn the din of the dislocated thigh bone from the ze'klal. Why not? My time, because lavlin akuvadam. It's not like having a hole in an organ. V'loliv sfukadamya, and it's not cut. And it's not removed. It's just dislocated. And then you might think, based on that reasoning, that a dislocated thigh is kosher. Tanu eluk sherus. Hanu udik sherus. Here it's dafka. Only these are kosher. Had Rav Masna, but a dislocated thigh bone is treif. Gufa. On Rav Masna. Hai bukadab madashap miduchli treifa. Dislocated thigh is treif. V'Rav Amar ksheva. Rav says is kosher. However, ifsik nivei treifa, that has ligaments. If those ligaments were also cut, then it's treif. V'hilchasa ifsik namik sheva. The halacha is even if the thigh was dislocated and the ligaments were cut, it's kosher. Adim isak lasukli. Unless the ligament sort of got eaten away, it's gone, then it's treif. Then we said ad kama techsar. How much does the trachea have to be missing in order to it to be treif? We said in Isser. Those people who've never seen an Italian Isser, shiura bedinner kurdina. A Kurdish dinner is what the size is. Vavi b'pshita zutrasi, like a small pshita coin. People who lived in Pumbedisa had these pshita coins. On Rav Chana Torah, Rav Chana was a money changer. Eliminai have a koi bar nafcha. I was once at my table. Bar nafcha's Rav Yochanan. Uboy dinra kurdina l'shai beit trefasa. He asked me to show him a Kurdish dinner to see. He was obviously checking on a trefa. Uboy l'meika mikame. I wanted to stand up in front of a Talmid Chacham. V'lo shavkani. He didn't allow me. Armele shevni shev. Ein bali umnes rishon lamod if Talmid Chacham b'shash asukin b'mlachta. A craftsman who's working is not allowed to stand in front of the Talmid Chacham when they're working. It's going to damage their work, and whoever hired them is going to lose out. V'lo vatnan kol bali umnes oindim ibneim b'shoam b'shleima. When the people who brought Bikurim came to Yerushalayim, the craftsmen would stand up, say Shalom Aleichem, v'omer lem achenu anshe mokum ploini boachem b'shalom. Well, if they're going to do that for a Bikurim people, certainly they should do it for Talmidei Chachamim. No, that's the mitzvah of Bikurim, but they don't do it for Talmidei Chachamim. Rav Yosef Baravi. Borei kama chaviva mitzvah b'shaita. Look at a mitzvah done in its proper time, like Bikurim, that you see people stand for them, but not for Tamei Chacham. Mimai dilma kadesh lotei nimtza machshin lasid lovo. No raya. The reason perhaps they gave them that covet, otherwise they wouldn't come next time. So no raya about Tamei Chacham. Rav Nachman. Kesela b'yeser mivsela. When they say the size of a sela, it means even a little bit more than a sela. And ki'isr ki'yoser mi'ki'isr. They say isr means even a little bit more. Rav Nachman ad the law bichlal. It means when you go up to some, it doesn't include, only includes up to that, but not beyond. Esvei Rav Nachman. Chevel hayotzim min hamita. Their beds used to be made out of ropes. And if the hanging ropes is considered part of the bed, so but anything beyond is not the bed, and a rope is not mekabel tuma. Ad chamisha tvachim tohar. Any rope that's beyond 5 tvachim away from the bed cannot become tummy. And malav chamisha kilamata. 5 is like beyond and is tohar. Lo chamisha milamala. It's like part of the bed. Toshma mechamisha v'adasar tomei. From 5 to 10, it is mekabel tuma. My love asar kilamata, the asara is like below. Lo asar kilamala, and it's tohar. Toshma. Hadakin shebeklecheres. Small earthenware vessels. Haim the kakosreyen. Them or their sides, the same. Yoshvin shalom sumachim. As long as they can hold liquid while sitting on a flat surface, shiurin, whether they're tamei or tar, is bichdei sikas cotton. The amount of oil the amount of liquid that it can hold to anoint a young child. Okay. Tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow 7:15. Tonight, 8 o'clock. Sorba.
Okay.
Johnny, I have a new volume for you.
Okay.